In part one, we covered a high-level introduction about protonic computing and why that matters, mainly because if we are going to work on adding real-time data from biological intelligence and biosignals, living organisms, aka, onto non-living organisms, machines, man-made, we do need to have some type of a translator, because living organisms, the majority of communication happens at the analog level, whereas in machine-made systems, majority of communication happens at the digital level. So we do need somehow a translator, which would be one of the biggest challenge in terms of adding real data from biological systems onto non-biological systems. And that's where, for example, neuromorphic computing comes in, that we talked about last time as well, and then now protonic computing. So I'm going to talk about the chips, the nanoseconds protonic chips that could potentially, once they get commercialized, could come in handy in terms of them being part of the AI systems, future AI systems such as AGI, ASI, as well as robotics, so that this part of the concept that we're talking about, adding biosignals onto non-biological machines, reality. So I'll be reading then a section from chapter 3 that is called Nanosecond Protonic Programmable Resistors for Analog Deep Learning. So the nanosecond protonic programmable resistors are a type of hardware that can perform computation similar to how the brain processes information. The protonic part refers to how they use protocols and protons to change resistance. And this process happens at a very tiny scale. Researchers are developing these nano-size resistors to fit into analog computing systems where they can perform calculations in a way that is more similar to how neurons in the brain work. Even though they are very small, they are very real and could eventually be integrated into chips and other hardware components used in AI systems. These analog resistors use ions, specifically protons, to modulate resistance, allowing them to operate at a very high speed in the nanosecond range. This makes them promising for analog deep learning applications because they can potentially process data much faster and more efficient than traditional digital processors. This is very important, by the way, because not only are they analog and help us translate analog information, but they're also potentially much faster than digital processors. These devices are particularly useful for tasks like training and running neural networks, artificial neural networks, in analog format, which could lead to significant improvement in speed and energy efficiency. And as you know, one of the biggest challenges in the new realm of AI is efficiency. They need a lot of energy. So if we can come up with resistors that are much more energy efficient, this means that it could potentially help the future AI system to be also very energy efficient, which is one of the huge pain points today. This technology is still in the research and developmental phase, but it shows great potential for the future of AI hardware. Analog computing, with its potential for processing continuous signals more naturally, could indeed be a powerful way to mimic or interact with body's bioelectrical processes. It could allow, for example, AGI to process information in a way that it is more aligned with how our brains and bodies function, and also transfer information, leading to a more intuitive and efficient systems. Combining both analog and digital data streams to inform AGI, for example, could open up a lot of possibilities. Of course, AGI is still very speculative. By integrating these different types of information, future of AI systems could potentially achieve a more nuanced understanding of human physiology and cognitions, perhaps even leading to more personalized and adaptive AI systems. Analog computing, particularly with nanosecond protonic programmable resistors, is still in research and development. The technology is not yet widely deployed or commercialized. Researchers have created these resistors and demonstrated their potential in lab settings, for example, and they have been showing that they can be used for analog deep learning tasks, such as training neural networks, as we talked. However, these devices are still being refined, and the field is working on scaling them up, improving their reliability, and integrating them into practical systems. While the fundamental components like the protonic programmable resistors exist and have been tested, the broader application of this technology in real-world system is still in its early stages. These resistors are physical, tangible devices that researchers are working on. However, they are extremely small, as we talked before, and often at the nano scale, meaning they are much smaller than what you can see or touch, for example. And that's also another reason that this space is so extremely fascinating, because not only are they extremely small, but are also much more energy efficient and faster. The protonic resistors are ideal for using AI, neuromorphic computing, and other systems where mimicking the brain's analog signal processing is beneficial. They're also valuable in the scenarios requiring high speed, energy efficient computation with variable outcomes. While digital resistors are binary, zeros and ones, with fixed states, and used in traditional digital computing, protonic analog resistors are continuous, like wave-like, and with a range of resistance level, and are used in analog computing, particularly for tasks that benefit from variable, nuanced processing, like the brain's signal processing. These differences make protonic analog resistors better suited for tasks that require the finding of flexible real-time processing seen in biological systems or living organisms, while digital resistors are better for tasks that require precise binary outcomes, like in machines, for example. Now, what are some of the practical possible applications of using these analog resistors into machine learning as well as into the future of AI systems? This section talks a little bit about it, and I'm just going to read parts of it. The analog resistors that we've mentioned here could be used to build analog neural network that process information in a way that is more closely mimics the human brain, which could lead to AI systems that are faster, more efficient, and possibly more capable of handling complex tasks like pattern recognition or decision making. One of the key advantages of protonic and or photonic resistors is that they could significantly reduce the energy consumptions of AI systems, which is a major concern as AI models become larger and more complex. Because these resistors operate at the nano scale, they could allow for the development of much smaller and more powerful AI hardware, making it possible to integrate advanced AI into a wider range of devices. And let's not forget that these technologies are still being researched, and while it shows great promise, it is not widely available yet. However, it represents a fascinating integration of material science, electronics, and AI, and it could play a significant role in the future of computing. And lastly, I'd like to add that although digital computing has dominated the technological landscape since the mid-20th century, analog computing is experiencing a resurgence, particularly in specialized fields where it outperforms digital approaches. Historically, analog computing was used before the rise of digital systems, especially during the mid-1900s, in areas such as military applications and complex mathematical simulations. Analog computers like the differential analyzer were capable of solving differential equations, for example, using continuous variables like waves rather than discrete digital operations such as zeros and ones. The reason for the decline of analog computing in favor of digital systems came down to the simplicity, the scalability, and the error correction abilities of the digital systems. As digital transistors shrank and became more and more efficient, the binary logic of the digital computing took center in everything from mainframes to personal computers and smartphones. However, as we talked, now with this new generation of AI, it appears that we may need to go back to and revisit analog computing because we are facing not only different challenges when it comes to energy efficiency and so forth, but also the way in which data and information is transferred and processed. And not only that, what pertains to this book and to this body of work is the fact that if we are going to add real-time data from living organisms such as biosignals, the electrical signals of biological systems, onto machines, we do need to somehow have the interface between the two be such that it translates analog into digital so that these two entities can understand each other, and hence these analog resistors such as neuromorphic computing, protonic computing, as well as photonic computing that we haven't talked about come in handy. So that's all I had for today. And if you like this content, please hit the like button and or follow button. Help this channel grow so that other folks who are interested in these topics as well can get notified and hopefully join as well. Thanks.